Welcome to another episode of the Gull-Mouth Action podcast, where we take a look at all the latest goings on at Brighton, Albion and Crawley Town. I'm Matt Poll, and this week I'm joined by Brighton writer Derren Howard, Sam Morton, who covers both Albion and the Reds, and Crawley Town expert Mark Dunford. Pre-season is now in full swing for both Brighton and Crawley. Albion opened their pre-season campaign against Stoke this week, while the Reds continued their friendly itinerary with games against East Grinstead and Dagenham and Redbridge. This week, we'll discuss how pre-season has been going for the Seagulls and the Reds, look what's ahead for both clubs this summer, and bring you all the latest transfer news and gossip from the Amex and Broadfield Stadium. You can read all the stories we are talking about, videos and pictures online at sussexworld.co.uk/sport. And we will start, as ever, at Brighton and Hove Albion, where a once sought-after talent looks set to be on his way out of the club. Young striker Evan Ferguson looks set to move to Italian outfit Roma, although as of yet we are unsure if it will be a permanent or loan move. What are your thoughts on this? It seems like an almost imminent departure now, Derren. It certainly seems to split the fan base. And do you think it will be a permanent or loan move?
It's split me as well, to be honest, Matt. I'm not quite sure what to make of it. It's obviously he hasn't appeared in any of the pre-season camps. He's not in Spain with the Brighton training camp for the pre-season, and it looks as though Roma is going to be the most likely destination. I think the thoughts are that it will be an initial loan with an option to buy, and the stumbling point at the moment is the figure on that option to buy. Brighton, you always have to be quite cautious with these figures when they're around. But according to the Italian media, Brighton are pushing for 40 million fee with the option to buy, whereas Roma are around about the 20-25. So I think talks are ongoing with the option to buy fee after that. So we're waiting to see. But as far as Brighton are concerned, I thought when João Pedro left, that may open the door for Evan Ferguson just to have another crack at having a really good Premier League season with Brighton. Obviously he struggled last year with form and fitness, and then his loan at West Ham didn't work out very well. And in the meantime, Brighton have brought in Stefanos Tsitsipas and Charalampos Kostoulas as well, the young Greek strikers as well, and it's looking like they're going to be the backup options for Danny Welbeck and Jorginho Rutter going forward this season. So it seems as though Ferguson is out on the fringes. It looks as though this move to Roma is going to take off. But Brighton, obviously, they got burnt a bit in the past with Victor Gyökeres when he left Brighton to join Coventry for a relatively cheap fee. He went on to have an outstanding time at Coventry and then Sporting, and now he's looking like moving to Arsenal. So Brighton want to avoid a blunder like that. That's why they're pushing for a high fee, similar to what they did with Dennis Undav when he went to Stuttgart on loan.
Darren's mentioned there, Sam, that it's potentially a loan to buy, but would selling Ferguson be a mistake? We've kind of run the rule a little bit over Albion's past regrets, but he's clearly very well thought of, isn't he, by Albion fans? But injuries have killed him, haven't they?
Yeah, it's a real shame because those early signs from Ferguson when he was first on the scene were fantastic, and all Brighton fans thought they had another absolute gem on their hands, and there were some big claims being made about him and all sorts of names that he was being compared to. But when you look at him, he has 17 goals and 6 assists in 80 appearances for Brighton in total, which is a pretty healthy return for any young striker breaking into kind of a mid-table Premier League team. And as Derren said, his fitness was an issue last season, and his loan at West Ham didn't go to plan at all. It was kind of seen as the perfect place under Graham Potter, where if he was going to be a success, it would be under Graham Potter, that he did so well under at Brighton, but it just didn't work out. But his clinical finishing hasn't gone anywhere. You'd think that if he's got that talent, then you'd imagine that that's still there. And it's just about trying to rediscover his confidence and fitness. And if he can start to impress Hertzler, there's no reason why he shouldn't be able to find that again and to get into the Brighton team. So part of me does hope that it's a loan rather than permanent, just to try and get that confidence back. Maybe in new surroundings in Italy, we've seen McTominay go there and be a revelation, and Gilmore's done well as well. So maybe he can go there on loan and maybe rediscover some form and then come back to Brighton. But it's a difficult one because obviously there's some fans that think after João Pedro's exit, it'd be a perfect opportunity for Ferguson to kind of stake a claim, and it's obviously with Brighton and signed to forwards in Kostoulas and Tsitsipas as well. So they're going to be pushing for starts. So there's lots of competition, and Danny Welbeck's going to be looking to continue his form from last season, and he's showing no signs of slowing down as well, because he scored 4 times in the first half as Brighton thrashed Wickham 6-1 in a behind the closed doors friendly. So you can see why Ferguson's probably looking at that and thinking he needs to move on. But as I say, I still think there's a real player there, and if we can go to Roma and rediscover that, then that'd be fantastic.
Well, one player who has moved on is winger Simon Adingra, the Ivorian who joined Brighton from FC Nordsjælland in 2022, has joined Premier League new boys Sunderland for a fee of £21 million plus add-ons. Adingra made 29 appearances for Albion last season, scoring and assisting twice. What did you make of the move there? And surprised to see him go? And what did Hertzler have to say about his exit?
I wasn't surprised, to be honest. He almost joined Sunderland back in the previous transfer window in January, but they just couldn't quite get the deal over the line. It's all going to be linked with the Tommy Watson from Sunderland moving the other way. Tommy Watson arrived. Adingra has now finally gone to newly promoted Sunderland, and I think it's a case of the needs at different times. That Sunderland need a player who's experienced in the Premier League and can go from day one, basically. Whereas Brighton, I think with Tommy Watson, they can afford to take their time a little bit more. He'll probably be understudy to Kara Matoma on the left flank, so they already have a proven experienced left winger in Matoma. And then Tommy Watson can provide, that backup as needed. Whereas I think Adingra, he can go to Sunderland. He's got a few seasons in the Premier League under his belt, and he can be, potentially he can be a good player for them. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets, sort of around 10 to 12 goals, in a season. He's more than capable of doing that. And I think if he can do that at Sunderland, that would be a good return for them and give them a decent chance of sort of defying the odds and trying to stay up in the Premier League, because as we know, it's so sort of tough for the promoted teams who come up. So I think in regards to the fee, I think most Brighton fans and most people at Brighton are quite happy with it. 21 million for a player they brought in for around about 8 million a few seasons ago from Nordsjælland. So quite a good deal for Brighton. He wasn't going to be a regular next season, and I think quite a few fans were quite happy, because when they heard that Adingra was leaving, it kind of thought, okay, Matoma's probably going to stay. So I don't think Brighton would have let him go quite so easily if Matoma had been on his way to perhaps Bayern Munich or wherever he was being linked with. So I think it all wraps in quite nicely, and Brighton are quite happy with it. I think it's a deal that suits all parties at the moment.
Sam, are there any other incomings or outgoings we should potentially be looking out for? I know that we've mentioned Pervis Estupiñán and Matt O'Reilly in the past. Where are they at the moment? Oh, you're on mute.
Sorry, chaps. Estupiñán continues to be linked with the summer exit. As you mentioned, he told South American media last month that he expects to leave actually during this transfer window. He said, "The club know that I would like to keep growing. The club have given me this bit of freedom to be able to make a decision." Manchester United is said to have a long-standing interest in the 27-year-old Ecuador international, but Italian giants AC Milan also said to be in the running, have made contact with the club. Estupiñán has a guide price of 30 million, is contracted with the Seagulls until June 2027, and he's currently in the Costa del Sol with Brighton. And Albion have obviously confirmed the signing of Belgium international Maxime de Kuyper, which could pave the way for Estupiñán's departure. Interesting to see how that one develops. And you mentioned Matt O'Reilly as well. He's been linked with Napoli, Everton, Atalanta and Roma. Sky Sports in Italy reported this week that Roma are interested, as new manager Gian Piero Gasparini put him among his top transfer targets. He's been a long admirer of O'Reilly and wanted to sign him for Atalanta in previous windows. And it's another tricky one where he obviously came in from Celtic and was a real promising signing for Brighton. He got that really early injury and set him back by a number of months. And when he returned, he just wasn't really able to force his way into the team. Hertzler mainly preferred Jorginho Rutter in the number 10 role, which often left O'Reilly sidelined or playing out of position. And he did recently admit to Danish media that he's not completely happy. It makes it difficult to show off when you play in a position that you're not completely happy with. I could play better for the team if he plays a number 8 position, but he can play well in other positions. You can say in a way that's not aggressive. If you're honest with another person, you don't lose anything. The coach can always say he doesn't agree. So yeah, interesting to see how that one develops. I think it'd be good to see him stay and try and make more of an impact than he had last season. And it's worth mentioning Julio Enciso, who's actually just suffered a pretty serious knee injury by the looks of it. Could miss up to 3 months of the new campaign, which could hinder his plans to move on, because there has been rumoured interest from Porto, Sporting Lisbon and Inter Milan. He's a guy priced at £25 million and is another player that will be looking to play football. Basically, he's not been able to start games for Brighton on a regular basis. So this injury, unfortunately, could, for his personal sake, hinder any plans to move on and could stifle his progression a little bit, which is a shame. But it'd be interesting to see how that develops. And in terms of incomings, Brighton are said to be following the development of 18-year-old attacking midfielder Rodolfo Aloko. According to Daily Mail, he currently plays. The player who currently plays for Croatian side, NK Kustoja, is valued at approximately 4.75 million. And the Premier League club will face competition from the likes of Sevilla, Eintracht Frankfurt and RB Leipzig. So another one to keep an eye on.
Easy for you to say, Sam. Easy for you to say.
Absolutely.
Meanwhile, Brighton kicked off their pre-season schedule on Tuesday evening with a 3-1 victory over Stoke City in Spain. Summer signing Diego Coppola was on target for the Seagulls against the Potters, as was Kaoru Mitoma and Jorginho Ruta. What did you make of Albion's performance, Derren? How did the new boys equip themselves, and who else stood out for you as well?
Yeah, it was a good run out. It was roasting hot in the Costa del Sol, so it was. It's always hard to sort of assess exactly where they're out in these type of matches. They played a first half 11 and a second half 11 as well, and there were some encouraging displays. We've got the player ratings up on the Sussex World website at the moment, which runs through the full list of people who played and how they got on, but. I was particularly impressed. I thought Mitoma looked quite fresh on the left flank. He got a goal, albeit from a heavy deflection. I thought Yasin Ayari looks very good in midfield as well. But there were two youngsters that caught my eye as well. There was Caelan Vickers, who came on in the second half, played down the left wing, and he teed up Diego Coppola for his first goal for the club on his debut. I thought he looked lively down on the wing. And Harry Howard as well. He sort of featured a little bit in the Premier League squads towards the back end of last campaign. And he's a very promising young talent who's coming through. He played off on the right flank and looked pretty good to me. So and I think in the second half it was all changed. Malik Yaoui, who came on as well. Is that me? Did anybody else hear that?
Yeah.
Sorry, I have no idea what that was. But there was a midfielder that came on, Malik Yaoui. He's been on loan at Sturm Graz last season, and I thought he looked very promising as well. What's going to happen to him is going to be quite interesting this year to looking ahead. So all in all, a decent run up. They've got a few more pre-season tune-ups before the Premier League action kicks off on August the 16th. They face Las Palmas in a behind closed doors friendly in Spain. And then they return to the UK, but they've got a friendly against Southampton and then against Wolfsburg at the Amex just a week before the Premier League kicks off. So there's going to be quite a bit more to do before we get to that stage. We'll probably see some of the new signings bedding in a little bit more in those matches before the kickoff. One thing I did want to mention as well is Bart Verbruggen. He hasn't appeared in any of the pre-season matches. He's got a bit of an injury at the moment, or so they say. And Carl Rushworth, who's been linked with Rangers, Manchester United, and Coventry this week, he's been playing in pre-season. So yes, I'm quite interested to see what's going to happen with the goalkeeping situation at Brighton at the moment. So one to keep an eye on.
Yeah, absolutely. Watch this space. Sam, of the friendlies Derren's mentioned there, any of them get your pulse racing, or is it standard pre-season fare for you?
Yeah, pretty standard, I think. They've got behind closed doors game against Las Palmas on Monday, July the 21st. And on Saturday, the 2nd of August, takes the team to the St Mary's Stadium to face, obviously, Southampton, who were relegated from the Premier League last season. And then Albion's final pre-season clash and their only game at the Amex is against Wolfsburg, obviously the German outfit, on August the 12th. So that would be an interesting one and a good chance for the fans to see how the players have progressed, obviously, during their time out in Spain, see how they're getting on, just have that first look at the team. before the Premier League gets underway, and obviously Brighton kick off their campaign against Fulham at the Amex on August the 16th. So it's not far away now. It's very exciting.
No, it always comes around very, very quickly. Crawley Town have also been in pre-season action, playing 2 friendlies since the last pod. The Reds ran out 5-1 winners at East Grinstead Town on Saturday. Who netted for Crawley Eastcourt, Mark, and who shone for the Reds in that thumping victory?
Yeah, it's after a goalless first half. I think fans were a little bit worried there could be a bit of a shock on, but Dion Pereira came on second half, scored 2 goals. Adi Adeyemo scored. Louis Flower got his third in for the first 3 friendlies, and Ben Radcliffe scored as well. So I think it was a bit tougher than it was against Freebridges, but second half Crawley were really, really good and inspired by Dion Pereira. Will Charlton, who did our player rating, said he wanted to give him 10, but I don't think he wanted to be that generous, so he gave him a 9 out of 10. But he also said that Charlie Barker and Josh Flint were really good. You'd expect the defence to have a comfortable afternoon, but apparently they looked absolutely solid. And Adeyemo as well coming on, promising first season with the Reds. And he played well when he came on Tuesday night as well at Dagenham. So a good run out, and quite impressive. But Dion Pereira, I think, is someone who is looking like he will become a fan favourite, I think.
Yeah, well, the Reds then followed this up with another 5-1 win, this time at Dagenham and Redbridge on Tuesday evening. Goals from Harry McCurdy, Harry Forster, Reece Brown, and a trialist who bagged a brace helped the Reds maintain their unbeaten pre-season record. You were at this one, Mark. I know it took you about 4 days to get there, but you eventually turned up. Who stood out for Crawley against the Daggers, and what does Scott Lindsay have to say about the performance?
Yeah, so it was they got off to quite a good start. Dagenham looked like a really good side, actually, much more physical than Crawley would have come up with against Bridges and East Grinstead. But Harry Forster particularly, he set up the first goal, scored the second goal, and was really, really good. Him and Josh Flint linked up really well on the left, and very direct. Harry McCurdy as well, the 2 Harrys. He's a fun. I know we're going to get onto McCurdy later, but he's a funny one because with all the due respect in the world, he doesn't look like a footballer. He came on in the sense that his shirt was untucked. I know a lot of players wear their shirt untucked, but his shirt seemed too big for him. He looked like a schoolboy playing for an adults team in that sense. And he had his sleeves over his hands, so his whole you couldn't see his hands. I don't know. He just didn't look like. But when he was on the ball, he was fantastic, and he had some real flashes of brilliance. But I know we're going to talk about him more later. But he was really good. And then the trialist who scored 2 goals, we're not sure of his name. We think his first name is Jude, and he's 16. And he stands out quite a lot. He's got this sort of big block of blonde curly hair. And he gets involved, and he was in the right place, right time for 2 places. For 2 goals. Louis Flower didn't score this time, but he came on as a sub and scored 3 goals. Assisted to 3 goals in the second half. So he was really impressive. Like I said, Harry McCurdy. Jay Williams, he started off in the first 20 minutes and did what Jay Williams does, as did Louis Watson. He showed some really good footwork, actually. Dion Pereira was a bit quieter, but again had moments of brilliance. But one of the Dagenham media guys was in front of me, and he's a real big Dagenham fan. And he turned to me before kickoff and he said, "Have you fallen in love with Dion Pereira yet?" Because he was at Dagenham last year. And I said, "Oh, no, I haven't really had a chance to." And he said, "Oh, you will." And didn't quite show against Dagenham, but if I was at East Grinstead, I think I might have fallen in love a little bit with Dion Pereira. So I'm expecting big things now, not just on the pitch, but off the pitch if I'm going to fall in love with him. So
let's hope he treats you right, Mark. You mentioned Ray Williams there. He made his first pre-season appearance for the Reds at Dagenham. How did the former MK Dons man acquit himself, Mark? And what did Lindsay have to say about Williams' display at the Daggers? I bet he's delighted to have him back. Oh,
he really is. And and Jay Williams looks happy to be back as well. He doesn't exude excitement or anything, Jay Williams, as a person, I don't think. But he did look happy to be back. He said on his interview when he got back that it felt like coming home again, even though it was only away for a 6-month sabbatical or whatever it was. But he only played the first 20 minutes because he's recovering from a knee op, I believe. And they were always going to play him for 20 minutes along with Louis Watson. But they thought it'd be better if they started off rather than waiting around to come on. So after 20 minutes, they scored their first goal and they took him off. So, and well, like Lindsay said, he played that first 20 minutes like it was a World Cup final. He was everywhere, and there was a poor Dagenham player who he seemed to pick as his target. I don't know if he upset him before the game or what, but off the ball, he wasn't crossing a line or anything. But if there was a tackle or a shoulder barge or anything, he got involved and he was getting stuck in what the Crawley fans love Jay Williams for.
Yeah,
but he's not just an enforcer like that. He is really efficient on the ball. He's calm on the ball, breaks up play really well. And it was, I think, in that short 20 minutes, fans got to see everything that they love about Jay Williams. And Lindsay said afterwards, he's just so inspiring to everyone else. He just wants to win so much, even a friendly against Dagenham. He is so involved. And in the changing room after the game, because they let in 1 goal against Dagenham, and it was a poor goal to concede. I think Charlie Barker passed it back to Harvey Davis about 25 yards from goal, and he sort of lost a little bit of control, was dispossessed, and a Dagenham player rolled it in from 25 yards into an empty net. But apparently Jay Williams was looking, he wasn't even on the pitch at that time, but he was on looking at the footage and thinking, how could we have helped Harvey Davis more? What could we have done and all that? And apparently he was just really analysing it and sort of speaking to people saying we could have done this better, things like that. So, I mean, Lindsay's just, as soon as I started talking about him to Lindsay, you could see the smile on his face. And he just absolutely, they've obviously got clearly a very, very special relationship. And I imagine wherever Scott Lindsay goes in his footballing pathway, Jay Williams will be following him and vice versa. They seem to have this real special bond, and it's hopefully it will be in for Crawley's benefit this year.
Yeah, fingers crossed. You've spoken at length about Harry McCurdy, Mark, and as you mentioned, he opened his Reds account on Tuesday evening, scoring Crawley's opener at Dagenham. Sounded like you looked sharp, Sam. What did Lindsay have to say about McCurdy's poor performance? He must be pleased that his new striker's up and running.
Yeah, no, absolutely. He was full of praise for the 28-year-old. He said, "I love Harry and he brings so much to the team, not just out on the pitch, but in the dressing room as well. You can imagine what he's like. He's great for us, and I was really pleased with his performance. And I thought he was very good tonight. He described him as flashes of brilliance, is the way he described him. He said, he might not be in the game for 10 minutes, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, he'll be unbelievable for 5 minutes, and that's what he is. He will create, he will score out of nothing. And like I said, when we signed him, he's a character. Opposition fans will hate him, and our fans will love him. It's something. He said he'll sometimes hate him, but he's a character as well. So I think there's a definite clear aside to obviously the fans will hopefully get on board with there as well. And he thinks McCurdy is somebody who can play a number of positions really well. You can see him play wide right, and he can play a little bit more inside the pitch as well. And he can always be a threat to the opposition wherever he plays. So yeah, promising signing for Crawley, it looks like.
Yeah,
and he's really quick as well. And another thing, he doesn't run like a footballer either. I don't know what it is. I sounded like this is criticism of it. It's not at all. He's just not, and I can see how he's going to put opposition off just by the way he runs, the way he plays. He's going to be so unpredictable, but he's quite sort of frenetic as he runs and that. But he's really quick, and he's got such quick feet as well. And yeah, he took his goal really well. So I just think he's going to be great for Crawley this year, and yeah, fans are going to absolutely love him or hate him.
No middle ground with football fans, is there?
No.
And finally, Crawley host Portsmouth in a friendly on Saturday before they play a behind closed doors clash at Southampton on Tuesday. We'll focus on the Portsmouth game, Mark. Do you think we'll see Lindsay start with Crawley's strongest 11 against Pompey? And what kind of team are we expecting Portsmouth to bring to the Broadfield?
Well, Scott said he'd spoken to John Massinio, the Portsmouth manager, and they are coming full strength. I think they've had a couple of friendlies this week, one at Farnborough and one somewhere else, where they've sort of split their first team apparently with academy and youngsters. But I think on Saturday they will go quite strong. But I think Lindsay will as well. Lindsay has really had this pre-season schedule, so every game they've stepped up the level of team they're playing. And I think now after Dagenham, they're ready for the real test now. Dagenham were a really good test, and actually prop 5-1 might have slightly flattered Crawley on Tuesday night, but it's not obviously you're not expecting them to score 5 against Portsmouth. But I think we will see their strongest 11 play for longer as well. They did, apart from Williams and Watson on Tuesday night, who got subbed after 20 minutes. They went to 65 minutes before they made the rest of the changes. And I think they'll probably look at that again. And then as we get into the Southampton game and the Crystal Palace game afterwards, I think you'll see sort of maybe 70 minutes to some even having 90 minutes. And then we'll get a real flavour of what that starting 11 is going to be. The interesting one for me is who plays up top, because Kabi Shamanga was really good against Three Bridges. I wasn't that impressed with him on Tuesday night at Dagenham, but Louis Flower obviously scored in the first 3 and then 3 assists when he came on the other night. I think it's that big decision there, because Kabi Shamanga looks really quick, really busy, but Louis Flower looks like the sort of more effective front man for me. So that's the really interesting one. And then if you've got Harry Forster right on the left, Harry McCurdy just behind, Dion Pereira on the right, it's going to be really interesting to see how he does that. And we understand that there could be another new signing, a midfielder coming in soon as well. So it's going to be, because Max Anderson played really well on Tuesday night with Jay Williams. So, he's got a good selection headache, but that's what Lindsay wants. He wants people battling for those positions. And there's going to be there's a lot of games early on in the season with the Carabao Cup, EFL Trophy. So I think everybody will get a go. But, I think you'll certainly see it. And I think you can probably get Portsmouth in their new kit on Saturday and Crawley in their new home kit on Saturday. So I think the new kit derby will be happening on Saturday.
Be a great occasion all round at the Broadfield, Mark. I don't doubt that at all. I think that's it for us this week. We'll leave it there. Any other business, anything that people would like to mention before we sign off that we might have missed?
Getting to Dagenham was horrible.
Go on then, tell us a little bit about Dagenham then.
2 hours it took me to get to Dagenham. And it should have only taken just over an hour. 2 hours. I was stuck somewhere on the A23. Then I was stuck on the M25, stuck near the Dartford Tunnel. It was horrible. But when we got there, it was nice. But as soon as the final whistle went, it absolutely hammered down with rain as well. So I got wet going back to my car. It was only an hour journey home. So, horrible.
But you got to see Andy Carroll.
I got to see Andy Carroll. And what a magnificent specimen he is. He is just a big, big man. And he came on for the last 30 minutes. Didn't do a lot. He won a couple of headers, as you'd expect. He was running around a lot. He looked really fit, I'd say, as well. So I think, in that, because what are they, National League South?
Yeah.
You can imagine someone like Andy Carroll will. But what I did notice is that in the first half, I think they played really well, Dagenham. And they played a certain way. But when you bring Andy Carroll on, you have to play a different way. Yeah. And it was a little bit more get balls into the box. So whether that worked against them or not, I don't know. But the fans were absolutely loving it. When the noise when he came on and every time he touched the ball was amazing. So it was great to see someone of that sort of standard playing at that level. So,
how old is he now, Mark?
I think he's 35, 36, something like that. Yeah. Or maybe a little bit older, but he's like I said, he looked really fit. And I know they've got Qatari investors at Dagenham. So I don't think. I mean, I think I've read some bits somewhere that he hasn't gone there for the money and he's not getting big wages or anything, but he probably is. But Dagenham. I think because they went down from the National League last year, didn't they, to National South? They did. I think they've got quite big ambitions. They've got Lee Bradbury, former Crawley assistant manager. Manager now. And Eastbourne Borough as well. Yeah. So he's there because Lewis Young was there before him. Obviously former Crawley man. So a lot of and Raf Khalil was playing for Dagenham as well. So Crawley connections everywhere, narratives everywhere.
Excellent stuff. Yeah, I think Dagenham are going to do some damage in the National League South. Yeah, I think they'll do it.
20 goals for Andy Carroll this year, I reckon.
You reckon? Yeah. We'll have to wait and see, I suppose. Well, brilliant. Thank you very much for this week, chaps. Don't forget you can catch up with all the latest sports news covering everything we've talked about today at sussexworld.co.uk/sport. Thank you very much for listening and or watching, and we will see you all next week.
Cheers, guys.